Episode 267 of the TV Dudes, recorded January 15th, 2020, Otherworldly.
Ooh. 267?
267 episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot of episodes. So, welcome back. Last time we were talking about shows from 2019. This time, I think we're entirely talking about stuff from 2020. Okay, we got one holdover.
One holdover.
Yeah, we got one holdover. So we are going to talk about The Witcher and Dracula on Netflix. We're going to talk about The Outsider on HBO. And Kyle's going to check in on Rick and Morty, which I guess is on, is that regular TV?
Regular TV.
That's crazy.
Comedy Central, yeah. Adult Swim.
All right.
Still pumping them out.
It took me, so when you said Comedy Central, I was like, no, it's on its own channel called Adult Swim.
Wait, no, yeah. Adult Swim is it's Cartoon Network.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Comedy Central is a different
okay.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was still thinking, like, no, the channel it's on is Adult Swim, which is like an animation domination block of another channel.
Yeah.
It's all Viacom to me. Actually, wait, Viacom doesn't own Cartoon Network. They
Who
own
can tell these days?
Nickelodeon.
I assume
they
it's
own
Disney.
Comedy Central. Disney owns everything.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually
Wait,
Disney
who
will
owns Rick and Morty?
No one owns Rick and Morty.
Is it Dan Harmon?
They're wild independents. I don't know.
And Justin Roiland, do they own it? Yeah, sorry.
Dan
Paramount.
Harmon squatting. He can never leave the house.
That's actually Dan Harmon. If you told me Dan Harmon was just squatting on Rick and Morty, I'd believe that. That guy seems like a guy who would just move into an abandoned apartment and claim it for his own. That seems absolutely Dan Harmon
What are
like.
you doing in there, Dan? Riding pilots. Go away.
Bullshit.
I'm turning Rick into a pickle.
You are not writing
totally
pilots.
not me.
I'm squatting, Dan.
All right, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Kyle.
And before we get really deep in this, we want to say, as always, we appreciate the support of all our listeners. But if you want to take a little extra, you can go over to patreon.com/tvdudes.
I want to take a moment to point out that there's one listener out there that we don't appreciate. You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. But
Okay,
everybody else we really
everybody
like.
else.
And we really, really like if you go over to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us a buck an episode if you can. That helps us pay for our hosting every year. That helps us keep the sites up and running. It gives us our posting stuff, gets us our streaming so we can keep up with like Hulu and Disney Plus and everything else so we get the widest array of content.
And people are going to tell you can't buy friends. That money won't buy you friends. That's bullcrap.
You can stream it.
We got 3 friends right here that you can buy our friendship.
You can buy our
You
friendship.
can.
Over there on patreon.com/tvdudes.
And also, we got a new tier to announce. So right now it's like $1 a month, gets you some bonus content. Right now you're going to be turning into our Star Wars bonus content.
Indeed.
And if you want to join us at the $2 a month level, or $2
level.
$2 a show
What's a
level,
tuning get
sorry.
you?
So that makes you a contributor to the TV
Ah.
Dudes. So what we're going to do, and we'll have details on this over on Patreon, but basically you can send us a clip using the voice memo on your phone or by recording an MP3. Send us a clip, no more than three minutes in length, about whatever show you want to talk about, like whatever TV show you're watching. And we reserve the right to edit it down if need be.
Some restrictions apply.
But once a month, we'll put that in our show. We'll put it in like at a break point, or we'll put it at the end. We'll put it at the very beginning. Who knows? But we will put you. You will be a contributing member of the TV Dudes. If you have shows you want to talk about and you want to give us some quick, concise thoughts, hey, that's a way to do it.
Yep.
And
Contributize.
if you do $5 an episode, you become a member of the Writers Room, and you can do that shit every week.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
Send us an audio clip, and we will stitch it into the episode.
All the details on that are over at patreon.com/tvdudes. Go check it out. We're excited about this. We want to really get our support going and really give you guys some great content this year.
Offer applies as long as you guys don't figure out a way to screw this up for everybody else. Be cool. We're giving you microphones. Be cool with it.
All right, so let's talk.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
we need to check in on something. Hank's Watch.
Oh, you're right. It's Hank's Watch time.
Kyle, where are we on
how's
Hanks?
it going? How's it going, Kyle?
So I'm talking to this kid. He's like 7 years old, all right? And, he's trying to sound cool. He's around a bunch of older kids. So he says, man, you're a bunch of people. I know some people. And we're like, you're a little kid. You don't know no people. And he goes, yeah, I do. He's like, who do you know? He goes, I know Tom Hanks. We go, what?
You know what? I don't trust a lot of people, but I'm feeling it. I think this kid's on the level.
It's like, what? How do you know Tom Hanks? He goes, he's a famous actor, dummy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So that was my first attempt to get this Tom Hanks interview locked down.
So not a lot of progress so
Not a lot of
far.
progress.
I got
so
a couple
far.
more leads, though.
All right,
I'm still
all right.
working on it.
You still got that call into Peter Scolari? That dude's in the phone book.
Yeah.
He's on Evil right now.
Is he really?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
He's a priest on Evil, I believe.
Oh man.
Or mixing him up with another short actor.
There's gonna be some catch up for CBS because I when we get CBS All Access back for Picard, I'm gonna watch me some Evil. I'm gonna watch me some Unicorn.
Unicorn is good.
I'm excited to catch up on it. So expect a little catch up on that at some point because I know we've already talked about Evil, and we've already talked about the beginning of the Unicorn. But I know Kyle's been keeping up.
And of course, if somebody wants to throw down $20, you can only do it twice a year, but you can jump to the Patreon level that lets you pick the show.
Yeah,
And
add a
you
show.
can Just have us
Yeah.
watch this.
You know what was funny about finding out you don't watch The Unicorn? You said to me, I've been watching The Good Place and Perfect Harmony.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, wait, how are you watching Perfect Harmony over The Unicorn?
But not the Unicorn. I was like, Perfect Harmony's on Hulu.
Those are like two evenly matched shows, and The Unicorn just like barely beats it out
Yeah.
every week. Like, I think I'm caught up on most of them, but
that's
I'll
interesting.
You
always...
definitely wanted like the horse race info of like, no, but what is making Perfect Harmony edge out for you? Because
You know-
like they're neck and neck.
And here's the thing: if I had access to both, I would still probably be watching Perfect Harmony. And here's why: Bradley Whitford,
Anna Camp.
Anna Camp,
Yeah.
and music. You give me music every episode.
Gino Seeger, too.
Plus, everybody on that
People
cast
can go
is
check
great.
out our interview.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that cast of The Unicorn, though, oh my gosh. Rob Corddry.
Oh, sure.
Walton Goggins.
Yeah. No.
Who's my girl from
Dude, I want to see him
Casual?
fight like Anchorman News Crews now.
No, it's like
Did Walton Goggins bring a trident?
half the cast from Ballers.
All right, so let's jump over to our other TV shows for the time. Let's start with The Witcher, which none of us have watched all of it.
No.
In fact, I watched 3.
I wanted my coin back.
I
I don't know these books or the video game.
You want to toss
I
a
don't
coin
know.
at The Witcher?
Yes, I don't. I mean, like in that. Did anybody know anybody in college that could snap a bottle cap or a penny at really high speed?
Yeah, you want that guy?
Yeah, I want to thump a coin like that.
You're like,
Um,
be better.
Yeah, I made it through one episode. We started episode 2 and just we literally like got a minute into it and went, "Did we mean to start another one of these?" No.
See, that's interesting because episode 1 carried me through because of that sword fight at the end. I was like, okay, you got me. I'll watch another episode off that. And then it wasn't until the end of episode 3 they did another thing like that.
And Cavill looks so bored to me.
Yeah, I mean, he
He's
is playing.
dehydrated.
He's playing. That's true. He's probably barely
This is
standing.
true. This is true.
Yeah,
He's
no,
He's got the weird Wolverine dehydration
he
going
talked
on.
about that, getting the body.
So,
Because
Kyle, how much did you watch of this?
I think 3 episodes in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you and I both got about the same.
Is that when they
place.
go to another planet and you find out that it's also orcs and magic and that's Warcraft? Never mind.
Yeah, there is some kind of other dimension thing. So I posted about this on my Facebook, and I was like, I posted the thing that has the Witcher sword fight sequence set to Britney Spears' Toxic.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
And
that's
everyone should go
fantastic.
watch that. I don't care if you watch The Witcher. You should
Just
go
watch that. And I was like, look, I'm not feeling The Witcher, but this is great. And half my comments were, oh no, you got to keep watching. Like, you got to at least watch 4 episodes.
It
Or
gets good around 6.
they're like, have you gotten to the part with the alternate dimensions? Because you haven't really seen it until there's and I'm like, are you fucking with me? Or do you guys really love this show? And it gets like, I don't give shows 6 episodes to impress me.
Because honestly, it's like we waited till episode 3 to get like the pilot reveal. You know,
Yeah.
the thing that's supposed to carry us into the
Yeah.
show and captivate our interest didn't come till episode 3.
So is this more or less exciting than Carnival Row?
More exciting than Carnival Row.
I didn't even give Carnival Row an episode 1.
It's more exciting than Carnival Row. I'll give it that. In fact, as I watched episode 3 tonight before I came here, they had some another good fight scene. They are doing more of Yennefer, the sort
What
of female
Britney song
lead.
was it?
What's that?
What Britney song was
There
it?
was no Britney song. Damn. But I wonder if you could. You know what? They could probably map something to it.
Somebody get on
Hit
this.
Me Baby Once More Time could probably be used. But as I was watching it, I'm like, you know what? I think I get what people. If you're desperate for a hit after Game of Thrones, if you're like scratching your neck like a Dave Chappelle character, you're like, got any one of them Game of Thrones? This is low rent Game of Thrones. It's got blood and boobs and fire and crazy machinations and royal families and incest and all that shit is in there. Like, it's all in there.
You know who should have done this? Now, I don't know anything about the book or the game. I know in the game he's got 2 swords. I was kind of bummed to only see 1 sword, but I would have loved to see like Sam Raimi's take on this.
Oh, Sam Raimi would have been
where
the guy.
you just like amp up the gore a little bit, amp up the comedy a little bit.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm watching this and I'm thinking this wants to be Game of Thrones, but it's not even Xena.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. Like,
no, you're right.
Xena,
It should lean into being Xena.
Xena and Hercules, when Sam Raimi was doing that, it was fun. It was exciting. It was low rent, but it worked. This has the budget. This could have been Xena with a budget if they had had a little more fun with it, but it's so dour.
But with the budget, they won't have fun.
Yeah.
I think that's why Xena really gets. I think that's why I found myself wishing that this had been done oddly on like MTV or something. Like,
UPN 30.
If this is something like their weird ass Teen Wolf or Shannara or something where it just leans into the goofy fantasy camp of it and seems like the middle movie of a 5-movie Dungeons and Dragons train wreck straight to video. Like, lean into it, fuck it. But you've got Henry Cavill and shit, so you can't do that.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, Henry Cavill can be great. He was great in Mission Impossible. And he's a perfectly fine Superman just in bad movies. Like, Henry Cavill's not a bad actor. He wasn't badly cast. It's just that he's playing this sort of laconic guy, and there's not much to do with that role.
Yeah, I definitely feel like my problems are with the character, aren't really with the performance, because there's not really anything to perform, you know?
But then they introduced the Bard, and the Bard's a lot of fun. It reminds me of Knight's Tale and Paul Bettany's who is that guy?
Oh, he's Chaucer.
Chaucer is Chaucer.
Yeah.
A little bit like that. He's the guy who's like steps up and he's a hype man for a guy who doesn't want a hype man.
Yeah, except I'd watch the shit out of Knight's Tale again.
There's some fun stuff in like it's almost there. And it makes me wonder, the number of friends I have who really like it make me wonder if it gets there late and like maybe season 2 is gonna hit a new gear.
I feel like everyone I know who likes it has some connection to one of the previous source iterations.
Either novel
or game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You know, my fear is that if this doesn't do well, that's not going to be good for all of these other big budget fantasy pieces that are kind of.
I think it's
I
already
worry
done
they'll take
well.
the wrong lesson away from what doesn't work here.
The thing is, I think they've already done well though. Like it's getting what Netflix wanted. It's got a ton of buzz. There's a shit ton of memes about it.
Yeah.
And all the fantasy people, the people who just love this genre, they're loving this. Like it has definitely got buzz and all that kind of stuff. I think
learn
it
your
achieved
lesson
its
and
goals.
get doubly serious.
Get Sam Raimi. That's what you need.
Yeah, get some Sam Raimi
Get
in
a
there.
tone shift going.
All right, so let's move on from The Witcher to something even darker and more serious, The Outsider on HBO.
Oh.
So Jason Bateman directs these first 2 episodes. Have you seen both of them?
I've seen both of them, yeah.
Okay.
And it's Jason Bateman directing, yeah.
And he directed some episodes of Ozark. So I mean he was definitely coming into that phase of everybody's acting career.
This is Stephen King.
What did Arrested Development do to Jason Bateman, man? Ozark and this, like he's doing some dark shit.
It's dark as fuck, man. And this is I have not read this book. I've
Me
heard
neither.
this book is dark even for King, but it treads in a very dark half territory where I don't quite know. If you've read some Stephen King, your brain starts to fill in what kind of magical horror thing could be happening, right?
Especially in this, it feels like maybe there's an it kind of thing going on.
Or like a dark half thing. There's a weird faceless person lurking around that seems to be like the titular outsider, but at the same time, Bateman, there's this whole double murder thing where like they've got Bateman on tape. Definitely he definitely did this crime, but at the same time, he definitely has an alibi being
wasn't
70
there,
miles
yeah.
away. There's no way he did this.
See, I'm assuming shapeshifter.
And
It's
so
gotta be.
yeah, is it but it's King. It won't be as simple like is it a shapeshifter? Is it like dark half style where like it's a twin that he ate in the womb that's a ghost now that's fucking haunting him? Like I really want to know the town. Okay, Ben Mendelsohn. How
Ben
is he
Mendelsohn.
not related to Dustin Hoffman?
He's so good in this.
It's like he's doing a Dustin Hoffman impression, and it's astonishingly great.
Also, killer American accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great in this, and he's so intense. Like his whole vibe when they find out like this coach. So to pitch what The Outsider is.
Yeah.
It starts off, and you've seen this in the trailers probably if you've seen any of it. There's a murder. There's a kid found murdered, and brutally murdered. Like awful shit was done to him.
Like bitten into him.
Yeah.
It's like Broadchurch and a slap chop.
Yeah. And so that was.
You got it. You got it.
There's so Ben Mendelsohn plays this cop. They have all this proof that it was done by the baseball coach, and Ben Mendelsohn, when they go to bring him in, is like, that guy took my kid to base. Like I'm gonna kill him. Like he's restraining himself from the. It's like I sent other officers because I didn't want to kill him.
Yeah, and so they arrest him in front of, like, at the Little League game in front of people.
Yeah.
And so when he's like, guys, I can prove I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I am going to sue you to the ends of the earth for ruining my family and my life.
And he calls in his attorney, Bill Camp, who, by the way, from Night of.
Oh,
great.
shit.
Love Bill Camp.
I know.
Everything
I was
he's
like,
ever
tell
in.
me you didn't audition for Mendelssohn's part.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The two of them could have switched out easily.
Yeah. So they've got that facing off going on. They've got a private investigator, and they start looking into it. And then, like I said, we see this sort of guy like looking on, and also one of the kids of
keeps seeing an invisible friend
that's talking to her and saying just bad shit.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, and you don't know if it's just the kid having a stress reaction to what's going on with the parents, or if it's Stephen King. So,
And-
like, is the kid really seeing something creepy?
And then the family of the kid, like all one by one, just like drop like flies.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. It's like that's what makes me think this thing is like an It thing, where it's like feeding on psychic misery or something like that.
There's also this happens at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil this, but there is a shift at the end of the first episode
Yeah.
that I cannot believe they did, and I did not see coming.
You know, there's several things that I like.
In fact, it took me 15 minutes into the second episode to realize that it had really happened.
Well, that's one of the things. The way they do this is that things happen, and then it goes to like a slow-mo silent thing, and we're left to interpret. Wait, just happened, and then we see the aftermath of it.
And
but they never
realize-
show us what actually happened. We just start to see the reactions of people. So bad things are happening. We don't always see what the thing is that happens. It's just things. There's rising action. Things get worse and worse. Something crazy, something violent happens, and the next thing you know, we're on to another part of the story, and you start to realize, oh, the aftermath of that is rippling, but we didn't see it. And so we start to see, like, if a character died, a lot of characters die off screen.
Yeah.
And we're left to assume that, oh, no, things worked out. Oh, wait, no, that character's gone.
Yeah, like you'll see people get hurt, and you'll find out later, like somebody will
They
say
didn't
something
make it.
very past
Yeah.
tense, and you'll go, "Oh shit!
Yeah.
I guess they fucking died."
I think I'm still a little confused by that because there's a
Yeah.
couple characters that they talk about as if they're dead.
Yeah.
But I didn't see them die.
Yeah, you didn't see him die, but they did.
And the chronology's all out of order. They just kind of tell their story in their own way.
Right.
You know something that also is challenging for me with the show?
What's that?
I feel like Jason Bateman's wife, Mendelssohn's character's wife.
They look very
They
similar.
look very similar, and
and
that was a mistake.
The mom of the
dead
victim
kid.
Yeah, I feel like
I
all
mixed up
three
his
of those
wife and the mom of the
actresses-
victim kid twice, and it got real confusing.
You're
all
not
have
wrong. You're not wrong.
Similar hair color,
Yeah.
similar hairstyle,
Yeah.
around the same age.
And I have to think that's on purpose.
I wonder because you're right. That's something that
HBO doesn't make that mistake.
Professional costuming, casting, and hair at this level of a show
There's
would
no
not
way.
make that mistake. I don't think.
There's no way. That's
Yeah.
got to be on
'Cause
purpose.
you're right. That happened to me too.
There's a similarity of that, and that I
Maybe
think
maybe they're playing into that.
that may tie into the outsider whole thing.
They all
of
look
I-
like Molly.
I will say, we're talking about this being kind of confusing. I love how they handled the chronology.
Oh, I loved it.
How
too.
it was like I feel like something like True Detective
Yeah.
kind of goes too far with that, which is funny because I feel like they did it more in this show, but it was just done in such a more fluid way.
Yeah.
I'd say this has a
Especially
very
in
True
episode
Detective vibe.
1. Yeah.
Too though.
But like in episode 1, as they're getting ready to arrest him, like you're getting parts of after they arrest him, beforehand.
Yeah.
And then by the time that it actually happens, like you've gotten the story in a way that I feel is more entertaining than if you'd just gotten it, 1, 2, 3.
There's also the way they shoot this. There's never more than like 10 or 15 minutes before something crazy happens. Like there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of quiet moments, but when you're never bored because they're always ramping up to something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whether it's like a shooting or a big fight scene or somebody going crazy or all kinds of shit happens.
It's literally as soon as the credit rolled on episode 1, Lisa looked at me and was like, "Is there another one of those?"
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like, yes, there's an episode 2 right now.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say,
then we're fucked.
I watched this late at night after I finished Reprisal. I'm like, okay, I got one more show in me. I'm gonna watch Outsiders episode 1. It was 1 a.m. I watched the second one right then.
Yeah.
I couldn't not watch the second one. It's really compelling.
Real good.
It's also HBO's gotten dark, man.
Dude, what the fuck, man? Sharp Objects, Euphoria, this.
I mean, going back to True Detective and Night of, like there's somebody HBO who loves
Somebody
dark
at HBO,
shit.
man, who hurt them?
Yeah. I love that you mentioned Night of again, because that's the one that I'm comparing it a lot to. Which it's got that same actor that we both really like.
Yeah, Bill Camp. Yeah.
But what I see it doing that is similar to Night of is, Night of, when we saw the promotions for it, we thought it was going to be about the night,
Yeah.
And that's just the first episode, and really the show is all about the aftermath. In fact, the show's a lot more like something like Oz in terms of just the format.
It's about the system. It's about
it's kind of like a prison show.
Yeah.
I see this being not about the murder of this kid or even Jason Bateman getting arrested.
No,
I
this is
think
about
you're right.
something else.
Yeah, I think there's this bigger thing happening, and the natural way, if it happened to us or anybody, would be they'd process it this way. Somebody's going to be, the accused of the crime, yada yada, and by the time they figure out what's actually going on, people's lives have already been messed up by
Yeah.
the system.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move over and talk about Dracula.
I was kind of surprised
Dr. Acula.
to see this on not just our list, but that they were just making another Dracula show. There's still blood in the old veins on this one.
The way that they did it. So this is Gaddis and Moffat. So,
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Should have led with that.
So you're either on board for what's about to happen with this, or you're not, because you either like Gaddis and Moffat shows or you don't, because they're going to do what they do.
And you know what's funny? Moffat was a guy who I loved everything he did until I didn't. Like, I went off his Doctor Who before the end of it, and I didn't watch the end of Sherlock, but I loved everything on Sherlock. I loved Jekyll, which this has more
I really
to
love
been in
Jekyll.
common with, and I liked Coupling that he did. Like, I think he's gotten out there somehow. I don't know exactly. I didn't pay too much attention. Somehow he got into cancel culture. Something about the way he is, and I'm like,
I don't know. I missed that.
I don't want any part of that, and so I don't know anybody. I don't know if I'm not supposed to like him, but I think of this guy as one of the really good TV guys. So if he does something, I'm going to pay attention to it.
They're responsible for some of my favorite Doctor Who stuff, some of the creepiest Doctor Who stuff for me. They are also responsible for some of the most like, oh my God, does that leaf represent love and it stops space aliens? Fuck you guys.
That makes sense.
So they also occasionally drive me nuts with their love conquers allness. And Dracula suffers a little bit from all of that. That said, this got creepier and scarier and was so much cooler.
And it's 3 hour-and-a-half movies.
Yes, they should have, in my opinion, dropped these a couple of weeks apart from each other and doled out, like Hammer Film style, doled out one just called Dracula or Return of Rise of Dracula, some shit.
Yeah.
The second one could have been called Voyage of Dracula, and the third one could have been called Bride of Dracula,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Oh.
And they could have done 3 movies doled out
You're
apart.
not wrong.
So they do the voyage of the Demeter.
So they do the
Yes.
voyage of them. So there's, as with all things, just how Sherlock was sort of reinvented. They do the same thing with Dracula here. Whereas, in Sherlock, they did all this stuff with the texting. Well, here it's letters. They do stuff with them writing
Well,
letters. and that
you've
kind
got
of
the
stuff.
memoir of you've got Jonathan Harker in a nunnery having escaped.
Yeah, so that's, they start this. Jonathan Harker looks rough. He's all bald and
That
patchy.
fucking fly
There's a
effect.
fly crawls into his eye. He looks like
Like,
Renfield
into his
like.
eye.
Like he seems like he is
Yeah, he's
fucked up.
Renfielded out.
And there's a couple of nuns who come in and start talking to him, and we don't know where he is. We just know he's in this like crazy nunnery, and they're like, tell us your story. Tell us about Dracula. And so he starts telling it, and we see how we see basically the stuff from Bram Stoker's where Jonathan Harker goes. He starts getting weaker. Dracula starts getting stronger and younger. And the way they do their Dracula, where he basically absorbs the person like in his blood, where he gets your language skills, he gets your knowledge, he gets whatever skills you have. Like if you're a doctor, suddenly Dracula's got your doctor knowledge.
So he's very careful about who he chooses to eat. Like he's a very socialite. Who he brings around him matters to him because he's not just going to feed off ruffians because it'll average him down.
Kind of like a Get Out.
Yeah, it's because he starts as this like creepy Romanian, long-haired, stringy, old-looking dude.
They're the only fucking people around him he can eat.
And then the second, and then by the middle of the episode, he's this refined British gentleman.
And his English is better, like way better.
And he's sarcastic and snappy,
yeah.
and
that makes a lot of sense. Why you would have British actors playing Dracula.
It's great. Like and he is dying to get to the British Isle. To bring to eat, literally to drink civilization.
Yeah, he wants to eat intelligent people. Yeah.
Like he wants to. He can see the next phase of what eternity will be like if he can eat a better class of people.
It's a clever, it's a clever tweak.
Yeah, I love it
Because
the Voyage of the Demeter is fucking great. The nuns that he runs into, Sister Agnes that is dealing with him is spectacularly written. She gets so many great lines. There's a point where Harker's like, "You don't talk like a nun." She clearly barely gives two shits about faith.
Yeah,
she's a nun, and she's like, you've never met a woman who's in a loveless marriage for a roof over her head? And I was like, oh shit, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard a nun say. Oh my God.
I don't want to give too much about the nun away because that's one of the great reveals, but her character goes throughout all 3 episodes.
Wait a second. Is it Matt Murdock's mom?
It is not Matt Murdock's mom. Well, I mean, we don't know. It could be.
I enjoy the living crap out of this. Episode 2, so episode 1 has a wonderful deal with Jonathan Harker and basically like revisiting big chunks of the book.
And if you know Dracula, you're still going to get surprises here. Yes. Like they do some big surprises.
Episode 2 does one of the most fun reveals I like rug out from under you that I've ever seen, and you want to squee and clap at the TV.
And the Voyage of the Demeter, they fill the place with characters. They fill it with great characters.
Oh yeah.
And there's this nice bit where Dracula is just among them. And there's a nice where he's talking to somebody, he's telling the story of the Demeter, and she says something about like, you just walked among them, and he's like, what was I gonna do? Sit in a box the whole trip? And I'm like, that's a nice call out because that's exactly what happens in the book.
Yeah.
But here they're like, no, it was like a murder mystery aboard a ship. Like he's there, he's slowly eating people,
and it starts to become a very like John Carpenter's The Thing. Like we know one of us is a murderer.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
You know what's really fucked up about that story is if you take these trips down like the Nile or like into the rainforest or anything, they don't have refrigeration. Like they have ice and they have like electricity spare and stuff. So literally you have to take livestock on the boat so you can kill it and like you'll have meat 2 weeks into your trip. Things
that's
like
funny.
That.
And that's what he did.
That's exactly what he did.
He had livestock and company.
And he's chosen everyone on the boat because he wants something they know or some skill of theirs or a language they know or something.
He totally did. He filled it with livestock.
There's a doctor, there's somebody like there's a guy that speaks perfect German or he one of the first people he eats is because he wants to speak German to someone.
Yeah.
There's a yo-yo guy.
Pretty much.
He's got sick yo-yo skills.
Now I got sick magic skills.
So I don't want to give away the twist at the end of season 2 or episode 2 because it was so good and I loved it so much.
But it leads into some of the things that I wish they'd done more with. I disagreed with the choice they made literally at the very, very end of episode 3.
Yeah, you and I talked about this a little bit off, Mike, and I actually disagree with you. I liked what they did. I thought that was
I needed longer to get that character around to that.
But I would have liked. I'm hoping this is not the end. I hope that we get more because I like the status quo they set up in 3, and I feel like if anything, it was a little bit rushed to go through it.
Yeah, it was. This was a rare time where a show ended and I wanted to yell at the screen a very detailed, like immediate in my head, like, no, where you should have gone was this. These toys are on the field, and why did you not do this? Because and I texted this long rant to Randy of like, no, here's what should have happened at the end. This would have set up movie 4, which would have been this.
Yeah. I thought this was really good.
That said, it is totally worth watching.
I really liked episodes 1 and 2, and then they do a thing at the end of 2 that made me fall completely in love with it. And then I do agree with you. 3 feels unfortunately like too much story for one movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it should have been a full-on season of TV.
Yeah.
Instead of what is essentially an hour-and-a-half movie.
They want to do a redemption arc too quick.
But these are totally worth watching, and especially if you have any fondness for Dracula, which I do.
This really hit on a lot of what I like about vampires and why they are an enduring archetypical monster.
While also giving modern some sort of modern
also,
interpretation of it.
Yeah, giving something that doesn't make them just hokey and like what we do in the shadows is not the last thing we can ever do with vampires.
But man, the bit about absorbing blood and that absorbing their personality is such a nice little tweak. It's the kind of thing that Gaddis and Moffat do well.
Yeah, there's a lot about Dracula really not knowing why some of this stuff happens or what he is exactly. They touch on the fact that there's a lot of undead things. That's just something that gravediggers and cemetery workers have always known.
Yeah.
And that like they know the truth, that there's a handful of people on the planet that for whatever reason are going to stay sentient and conscious in their corpse.
Yeah.
Even if you burn them, they're still going to be dust and it's still going to hurt.
Yeah, and there are a couple nods to
and there's
things.
some beautiful, like,
There's a reference. There's a thing where someone says, "I have a detective friend in London," that I figured was probably a Sherlock Holmes riff. And I think there's a little bit of it's all true here that we could see more like if they do a second season, they could definitely expand into other monsters and that kind of thing.
So, I mean, Alan Moore would hate it.
Yeah.
But I would kill to watch Moffat and Gaddis's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, or their own version of it. Because they've
could,
now done Jekyll.
Yeah, so they could, their Jekyll was great. I love that he was like 3/4 of an inch height difference. Like I don't know if you ever watched Jekyll with James Nesbitt.
Yeah, but it's all about his change performance. Yeah,
yeah, it's basically like same actor plays Jekyll and Hyde with barely any makeup difference, and he like he's literally. You can just tell he's different. If he was standing there and then you walked back in, you'd be like, no, you're like a twin brother or something. Like you're not quite you.
Yeah. Also, I do want to say,
it's beautiful.
One of my worries about any kind of Dracula, any kind of period piece like this, I was like, is this going to be all white male dudes? And I thought they did a good job of making the cast more diverse and giving the female characters
especially in
agency.
F3. I was shocked how much I loved his the whole Bride of Dracula arc.
Yeah, me too. Thought that was really well done. I liked their version of brides. I liked the sort of pansexual aspects of it.
Yeah, like the fact that Dracula will hit on anything.
Yeah,
that he has this constant running frustration with like turning people to vampires isn't something he enjoys doing because they're mindless. Like they obey him and it's not that fun.
Yeah, he wants somebody to be his true bride.
Yeah. There's a moment where like somebody turns and kind of fights him, and you can see the glee on his face of like, oh, that's adorable shit. You've nearly got a mind of your own. Oh my god, you're doing so well. It's too bad I'm going to kill you in a second, but really, buddy, you did great. There's a lot of really wonderful performance moments in it.
Also, put a little vampire TV news in here. Did you hear who we're going to get for season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows for a cameo?
I did, and I forget who it is.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, which is great.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see him do more stuff like his Cockknocker character.
And speaking of
from Jay and Silent Bob.
And speaking of TV news, that's going to be on Hulu because FX and Hulu are now in bed together, and we're going to get all that stuff's going to be actually on Hulu and not just like how are we going to watch this.
You guys got all the way to the finale of season 1, right?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, that was such a great full circle.
Yeah. I really, for a moment, thought you were going to say Corey Feldman and then we were going to have Frog Brothers.
Holy shit, that would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Not that Feldman's not like a complete imploding shit show.
Yeah. Well, that was that Lost Boys show. That Lost Boys show.
I'm still sad that Rob Thomas's Lost Boys show didn't go
angry about
forward.
It was going to be great.
So the pitch for that was fucking awesome. Like they were going to do a season
different
per
areas.
decade, and build up to the 80s in like season 3. The way Hannibal was working towards
it would have been great. Rob Thomas is more doing any TV now. They're not doing Veronica Mars in season 5.
No,
they ended iZombie.
They killed that off. Yeah,
God, I hope he's got something else in the
I'm
hopper.
sure he does.
Yeah. All right. So Kyle, talk to us about Rick and Morty.
Oh, I'm hoping
is
this
show good.
Yeah, have you guys heard of this show?
No, so this show's great. We just haven't watched it because FX is difficult. It's on FX. No, it's on Adult Swim.
Adult Swim.
It's just difficult to watch because you got to watch it through their website, which is a little tricky.
I will say we're doing the YouTube TV now, so I got access to it. But before, this is one of those where I would just, ever since I got hooked on it, I've been buying the seasons on iTunes.
I get that.
It's also a good rewatch for me. So like,
They're very rewatchable shows.
yeah, something that's easy to throw on the phone before like you're on a plane and you don't know what your viewing situation is going to be like. I rewatch these constantly, especially season 3, which I feel like for like rewatchability, season 3 was kind of like the pinnacle for me. Especially that April Fool's Day episode they did. What was that called? Where all takes place in the Shoney's.
Oh yeah.
But no,
Exception.
the Rickception. But yeah, no, this season we're in 5 episodes and it's that same caliber. I don't think you're listening to this and you aren't watching Rick and Morty or aren't a fan of it. At least it tends to be.
Yeah, you're aware
the
of what
genre.
we're talking about. I would think.
Yeah. But some of the highlights from this one, they are kind of taking some cues from last season, and now Beth is a little harder on Rick to show Morty more respect.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't just like pull him on adventures. He has to ask, Morty, will you please come with me on this adventure there? So Rick hates the shit out of that.
Yeah,
Summer
sure.
spent a season trying to establish herself better with Rick as well last season or season before.
Yeah, we haven't had a great summer episode yet. All the summer moments have been fantastic. In fact, oh my gosh, there's this one bit where I swear, if you aren't paying attention, you'll blink and miss it. But she's like on Instagram and her friend's at a funeral and she's like, oh man, her grandma died, but look at all the collagen in her face. She just looks really young. And then she starts pouring syrup on Jerry's pancakes. And her mom goes, quit trying to raise your dad's cholesterol so you can take a sweet death selfie. But it's just like so quick.
Oh, that's great.
No, I'm going to talk about my favorite episode without giving too much away, which granted we have more season left, but I think this may be the standout, like the intergalactic cable episodes in the past, or last year, the Vindicators episode.
I was about to say Vindicators.
Yeah. So what they do this year is it's one crew over the cuckoo's nest.
Okay.
And it's all a heist episode. Getting a crew together.
You know I love heists.
Rick Sanchez, you son of a bitch. I'm in. After you watch this episode, you'll just be running around the house. Like, I only live with one person, so I kept having to go to my wife, like, wife, you son of a bitch. I'm in. But it's so great because it starts where it's like they want to go to Heist Con, but you can't get a pro badge unless you have a professional heist crew. And Rick's like above, no, we're not buying, general admission badges. So he goes to put together a crew for a job. It's like, what's the job? It's like, these badges. All right, see ya. So then it's like he's trying to like outsmart this other guy. So it's a little Indiana Jones at first, but then it turns into just full out like Italian Job, Ocean's 11.
Nice.
Double cross, triple cross, quadruple cross. He creates a quadruple cross robot that's now, facing off against a randomizing, like totally random robot. Like, how can we like out heist the heist? Because every time they come up with a plan, you find out it's part of the enemy's plan. But luckily, their plan was actually part of our plan to begin with.
Oh man, that's great.
Unfortunately,
Our
that
plan's
plan
part of their plan.
was part of their plan, and they just keep going in this like endless wormhole. It is so fantastic.
Oh man, I love me some heist movies. I love all those tropes. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be right up my alley.
That sounds great.
Oh yeah, tons of characters.
Kyle, you son of a bitch. I'm in.
I'm in. You son of a bitch. No, they also had a really great one this last week where it's just all snakes. They go to a planet
Why's
that's
it got to be snakes?
just
pal?
like Earth, but they're all snakes.
Oops, all snakes.
Yeah, so they have like, wait, oops, all snakes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I get that
Oops, all
reference.
berry, yeah.
Oh yeah, oops, all snakes. No, it's batshit crazy. They go to a planet, and it's like everybody's doing the same stuff that we do, but they're just all snakes.
Oh man,
It felt a lot like photographer Raptor from Archer.
Okay, yeah.
The first season, I think they do or early on in Rick and Morty when they do the chairs ordering pizza side of
Yeah.
people's like, and then phones order it like, and they keep just flipping it one iteration off.
Yeah.
Like shit like that kills me in Rick and Morty, or the moment where I think it was last season where Morty pulls Summer aside and explains that I'm not your brother from this universe, that we've done this before. We've ruined a universe. It's okay.
Yeah.
And because I think she's fucked something up, and he's like, no, it's fine. I mean, these things happen. We burned down, we Cronenberged the whole universe and took this one over. My corpse is in the yard.
Well, they're leaning heavy into that. Like, I think there were some episodes last season, but there's definitely one this season where Rick dies again, and you get to see him, like, his clone tanks get, like, taken online, and, like, Rick's a ghost for a little bit.
Yeah, because he's about done with the clone tanks after...
Little Rick?
Yeah, Tiny Rick.
Yeah. Tiny Rick!
So in one of these episodes...
Wubba-lubba-dum-dum!
In one of these episodes, he has to, like, come back through cloning tanks, but I think they're other Rick's cloning tanks. So, like, in one, he's, like, he comes out of the tank, and, like, there's another Rick there.
I've seen this bit. He keeps... And they're iterations of other alien versions of Rick, and he's like, you know what I'm up to, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's one where he finally thinks he's in a good one. He looks up, there's a swastika on the wall, and he just kills himself.
It keeps happening over and over. Like, he keeps popping up and everything. It's like the... I've seen that episode. It was one of the few unlocked ones, I think, on the website. But it's like the Homer one where he keeps stepping on butterflies and, like, the world's wrong. Yeah. Where Rick's like, everything seems fine here, and it opened and everybody's Sig Heil, and he's like, fuck. What is with how many of these universes are Nazis?
Yeah, no, this is a return to form. It's fantastic. I'm excited that we're going to be seeing it now uninterrupted. That we're going to get the next season
pretty quick.
Yeah, in kind of a normal
time that's good.
Span.
It's not going to be the big, huge
they've
gaps.
signed like a big deal, so we're going to be getting more of that. And man, hopefully some sick ass Mulan tie-ins when they the live action Mulan comes out.
Oh my god, I don't know. That's one of the things that almost ruins Rick and Morty for me is the fan base.
Yeah, we could do a separate Patreon about fan bases ruining trying to watch shows. Where, like, if you weren't into Rick and Morty before, if you weren't into Star Wars before, the fans of these properties have not done any favors.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about Rick and Morty and why I don't ding them kind of the way I ding Star Wars is I feel like people want Rick and Morty stuff. Like, yeah, they have those Uber fans, but they're like, I want to buy a Rickmobile. I want to buy an action figure. Like, I got all these shirts. I want a new T-shirt. I feel like with Star Wars, there was a point, probably late 80s, early 90s, where it's like, I want Star Wars shit, know? And kind of like towards the late 90s, definitely into the prequels. Now it's like, there's Star Wars shit everywhere. Yeah. You can get Star Wars anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Rick and Morty people harassed the poor people at McDonald's. That was the thing.
That got out of hand. That went nuts.
I'm starting to think, especially after the Popeye stabbing, if you are a fanatic fast food consumer, like somebody who would wait at a McDonald's for hours.
You must be a little crazy.
You might be. Actually, no. You're probably a TV Dudes fan. I don't want to say anything.
Get you guys some Popeye chicken sandwich.
If you stab somebody for some Szechuan sauce, thank you for listening to TV Dudes. We appreciate your support. Go join us on Patreon.
And on that uncomfortable note, we're going to close out for the week. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Randy.
And until next week,
TV Dude listeners, we're out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.